Sullivan, the friend of John O'Keefe. Let's bring in our guest analyst who is standing by. Former federal prosecutor Neama Rahmani is with us. Neama, this was a Commonwealth motive witness, to say the least. She is testifying about this friction, this tension between Karen Read and John O'Keefe at this trip in Aruba. Your thoughts on how helpful this testimony is for the jury?
I thought it was very helpful for two reasons. First, it shows obviously a motive, right? That jealousy and also erratic behavior. You have Karen Read allegedly believing that, her husband made out with someone and there was no truth to it whatsoever. So it does paint a picture of someone that might be motivated by jealousy, maybe someone that can be erratic, impulsive, fly off the handle and do something that she may regret later.
Well, what about the fact that we heard there was this incident between the victim, John O'Keefe, and Laura's sister, Marietta, in Aruba, and basically her testimony just said, no, she said that didn't happen. Is that a problem for the defense?
It is a problem for the defense because you have Karen Read allegedly believing that this incident happened and there was no truth to it, so much so that after the fact, she's trying to apologize, trying to pay for the room. Again, this really paints a different picture of Karen Read, one that we haven't seen before. She looks calm, she looks composed there in the courtroom. Haven't heard a lot of testimony or evidence that she's a jealous wife, and it does give a potential motive for this murder if you believe the state.
Right, and I think motive is something that the jury may be wondering about, because we have this allegation that she drove her car forward, backed into him, and went out. Are they going to need something more close in time, though, Neama? This is 4 weeks before. Relationships go through ups and downs. They were still together, smiling and hugging on the surveillance video inside of the bar. Is the jury going to need to know more about what happened in that car ride, if there is anything to help them with that?
Well, potentially, yes, but we've all been in relationships, and when there's alcohol involved, sometimes things can get volatile. So it's not a far logical leap for the jurors to think, like, maybe they were fighting, maybe Karen Read was drinking, maybe she got upset, maybe she did something she regrets, just like she did there in Aruba. Of course, we lawyers know motive isn't an element of the crime, not something that the prosecution has to prove, but jurors, they're ordinary people, and they're asking themselves, why would someone kill their husband, either intentionally or negligently? And I think if you say, hey, a month before, there was this jealous episode in this fight, and John O'Keefe is telling people, look, my wife is volatile, I may want out. That might be something that the jurors in the back of their mind consider if they do return a guilty verdict.
And I think one of the other points, and Julia, you just kind of raised it, is I haven't heard any testimony yet to suggest they were in a big fight. To your point, the video showing they were getting along, nobody has testified to say, oh, John O'Keefe and Karen Read were in a terrible fight that night.
And the defense has harped on that with every witness. They've asked that on cross.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right, Neama, stand by, please. We want to go back into court. The next witness has taken the stand.